Guys, it's Jay coming at you with a review of my SMERSH Loadout. This has kind of been long coming. I've done a couple reviews in the past, but it was all while it was really evolving for me. The last 2 years have really identified some major needs and major ways of laying out gear. And from that whole patrol series that I did, one of the things that really stood out to me was that 24-hour patrol loadout, right? And really how for the average Minuteman, what our role is really going to be. And for the majority of us, probably that most realistic role is going to be that property patrol role, right? Where you're not looking for contact, but you are patrolling and conducting recons of your property, neighboring properties, and really looking for signs of who's coming and going, who is where, what has changed, checking on game cameras, checking on fence lines, checking property gates, all that stuff. And those patrols could last upwards of 24 hours, maybe more, depending upon your situation. But I think that really is probably about as realistic as it gets for the majority of us, right? So that's where you're not in a offensive means, you're more in a defensive, stagnant means, but you're actively patrolling that perimeter, what have you. So we can get into more of that later. You can watch the patrol videos and really see what I'm getting at there. But that brings us back to that load-bearing setup for that kind of a patrol situation. You know, a lot of guys will say, oh, I prefer a chest rig, I prefer this, I prefer that. I've really, over the last couple of years, settled on that LBE, that more old school design for that type of use, especially in my environment. We're Ohio, we're a mixture of woodlands, river valleys, farmland, so really wide open spaces, right? And a lot of in between. So that really is going to be ideal for that situation. So I get a lot of folks asking me about what rig this is and how I have it set up. So I was able to get the SSO or SPOSN SMERSH before the war started overseas, and they were much more readily available. I picked mine up from Gray Shop for about $170, I think. I forget exactly, but I think it was right around there. And then really liked it right off the bat, loved it. And I dove into it, and through the help of Ever Bergman and Black Hill Woodsman, really started fine-tuning my setup for my needs, not emulating everything I was seeing online, but really identifying what my needs were, what my situation was, and what I wanted to get out of it. So I did end up adding the water bottle pockets, which we'll dive into those. But essentially, when you're looking at your basic SMERSH layout, they make several different versions of it. This happens to be what they call the AK version of it, designed more for that infantryman, standard rifle magazines kind of loadout. So on the sides, they do give you 2 sets of magazine pouches for either side of it, okay? So you have the ability of carrying 3, 6, 9, 12 magazines as a full loadout in those pouches, depending upon how you want to set it up. They include a butt pack with that setup, or I think a lot of the European nations call them bread bags, but it's a little bit larger than your standard GI issue butt pack. So that really was that basic setup there. And then on the magazine pouches, which are double magazine pouches, they put a grenade pouch on the front and a grenade pouch on the back of those pouches as well. So you end up with 2 main magazine pouches and then 2 grenade pouches, same thing on the other side of it. They do a padded hip belt to it, which you'll see. I'll throw pictures up there instead of spinning it around. And then they include a padded H harness to it. Moving on from there, the way that I felt it was best to set this up was to kind of, and I think this tends to follow military doctrine from what I've read and folks that I've talked to, is the further you get up front with it, fighting gear here, moving slowly back to sustainment gear as you reach your way across the back. So I think that's a good way of loading it out, is that fighting gear right up front, right where you might need it right off the bat. So in my situation here, in those front magazine pouches, I have three magazines, 3 rifle magazines in each side. Okay, so both sides of that. So that gives me 6 rifle magazines. You can carry AR mags, you can carry AK mags, doesn't matter. Both of them work for that. So that's the fighting load right up front there. In front of those, in the grenade pouches on my strong side or on my right side, in the very front, I do a dummy corded monocular. So for observation purposes, because let's face it, in a role of property patrols, you're going to be, a good amount of your time is going to be spent with observation. So you want to be able to make sure that you have your observation gear right up front and handy. I think that's extremely important for that. So that's on the front grenade pouch right side. Front grenade pouch left side, I carry a couple different smoke grenades in there. Easy access, great for marking, great for radioing in a position, whether it be an overwatch position or whatnot, or for breaking contact. So I think smoke grenades really, especially with breaking contact, because the whole goal here is you do not want to get in any sort of prolonged fight. You want, if you do happen to make contact, heaven forbid, you want to be able to lay suppressive fire and then pop smoke and get out. So you just want to get out of there as quickly as physically possible. So smoke helps out a lot for that. So that's, once again, right up front there, okay? As we get into our rear magazine pouches, this here we're kind of starting to more observation stuff here that we might need throughout the day. I carry my my sniper veil in there. Now this here I might be wearing this. You know, possibly, it depends on the situation, but that's there for easy access. I carry my night vision in there for easy access as well. My night vision also doubles as a camera, so if I need to record anything from an observation standpoint or for documenting things, I can do that as well, day or night. So that certainly serves multi-purposes there. And then in the bottom, I have a balaclava that I keep in there. So all of that is set in that particular pouch. On my weak side, or my left side, I carry, this is all my comms gear in here. Comms is part of our, it's part of our plan. So I know not everybody needs to carry a radio, plain and simple. I know that may hurt some feelings, but not everybody needs a radio. But if it's part of your standard operating procedure, then you're going to carry a radio, right? Depending upon what you're doing. So I have in there my radio. I like using extended batteries just for extra life. The UV82 with an extended battery here. I mean, I'm giving myself 3+ days on standby with that setup there. So nice and long. Keep a freezer-sized Ziploc baggie in there for putting the radio in case we do get into a heavy moisture environment. I have my jungle antenna here, or for me it's a roll-up J-pole antenna. So if you'll notice, I do a shorty antenna on my radio. So that's going to get me out 300, 400, 500 yards, right? If I do need to reach out further than that, I can deploy a J-pole antenna or some sort of a jungle antenna setup to be able to reach out even further. Or if I'm setting up a listening post, possibly, that there helps tremendously to have the ability to do that, because you may need to do that. And then I do carry a spare battery for the radio as well, just as more of a just-in-case kind of scenario there. So once again, all that. So you notice there's a means to the way everything is set up here. So all that goes into place, cover it back up, and we are good to go there. All right. So we got that. Next to those, we have a rear grenade pouch, right? So in here, this is my signaling kit here. So in this specific kit here, I keep a Chemlite for making a buzzsaw out of, or it's already set up as a buzzsaw. I carry a whistle in there, carry a compass, carry a signaling mirror, and a signal panel. All right, so that for me, some sort of a signaling kit for being, if you're not able to signal or communicate via radio, it is smart to have an alternative means to it. And once again, This all is going to be based off of what your own groups or individual procedures are. So it's very important to establish those so that you can plan accordingly for those things. So all that is put into there. All right. Flip side, that rear grenade pouch. We're going to turn that around. All right. Right here. Here I have a small firearms cleaning kit. I keep a rag, I keep a boar snake, I keep some wipes, some oil wipes, and I have a brush in there and a case extractor tool. So all that I keep in that rear pouch. So that's part of sustainment and maintenance for me. Now my rifle also has, and all my rifles have this, has a rod that is actually zip tied or taped to the firearm itself. So that is, and once again, that's another important thing. You know, don't forget about that kind of stuff. So we have that. Now we've gone to there. Water bottle pouches, right? You got to have some way of carrying water. I'm big. Absolute minimums are 2 liters. Depends. Now that's going to depend on your area. What kind of how water rich are you in your area? If you have creeks and ditches and lakes and ponds and all that all around you, you can get away with carrying less water as long as you are in a safe environment to be able to go collect water, right? Because that is, unfortunately, that is one of the times that you do end up exposing yourself, is when it comes to those types of sustainment needs for being able to refill water. So you want to make sure you carry at least a minimum amount with you. Only you can decide that. My minimum is 2 liters. So my water bottles are all dummy corded into my pouches, so that way, heaven forbid, you lose one of your water bottles. You do not want to lose one of your water bottles. Also, you'll notice my water bottles on both sides here. Not only are they dummy corded, but they are camouflaged as well, or painted up. So I know I like using Nalgene bottles. Heaven forbid you have a blue or bright colored Nalgene lid that sticks out with all of your gear. Make sure to paint your shit, all right? Take care of those things. Inside of both of those pouches, I like nesting cups. I have a titanium cup on both sides, all right? I'm a firm believer in having, once again, 1 is none, 2 is 1. To be able to have 2, 1 for collecting dirty water, 1 for boiling fresh water, 1 for eating out of, 1 for drinking out of, whatever it may be. But I think it's extremely important to be able to have that kind of a setup for your water and for your cooking. So we have both of those set up, and those nest real nice inside of there, inside of those pouches. I know everyone's going to ask where the pouch is from. It's a no brand name eBay item. Just put in tactical water bottle pouches and you're going to see a whole bunch of them. I like using the Toaks titanium cookware cups. This is the 500 ml. This is the 750 ml. They are perfect for nesting gear, for nesting water bottles. They work out really, really nice, guys. So all that is set up inside of those. The other thing that's nice about this specific setup is they are easily accessible while wearing the rig. You do not need to take this rig off to access those water bottles that are going to be right there. It works out perfect. Now, I like these outside pouches here. So on the right hand side, I have my Sawyer Mini with the collapsible bladder in it. So all that is kept inside a padded case. I have the lid to the cup, and then I have iodine tablets in there as well. So especially for on the go, and these are one of those things, if you have the opportunity of gathering water, this works out really nice, because literally you go ahead and collect your water, drop a couple tablets in it, shake it up, close it, shake it up, and go. It won't take more than a minute, right? So I think that's extremely important, that you identify those times when you can do. Don't put it off and say, oh, I need to wait. No, top off your water supply. It's important. On the other side, and this is going to end up being on my left, In here, I keep a spork. I keep instant coffee and electrolyte mixes. I think that's extremely important for that. I mean, the coffee, you can do the coffee cold if you need to, guys, and the electrolyte mixes are really going to help just with those energy boosters and really prevent you from heat exhaustion or just bottoming out from your energy levels. So that's extremely important. I keep a lid for that cup in that pouch, and then I keep my survival stove in here, little mini survival stove, and I keep in there a lighter with duct tape and then fuel tablets in there as well. So all that is kept inside a triangular bandage, and it all stows nice and simply in that pouch, right? So a nice easy way of setting all of that up. So you kind of see, guys, where I'm going with this so far. Everything kind of makes sense the way that it's laid out. Come into our butt pack now. Now the butt pack, it's heavily expandable if you need to. I've kept it fairly simple. This, once again, it's enough for 24 hours. And I know me, I know my area, I know what I can and cannot get away with. And that's extremely important. And this is why we push for you guys getting out there and using your gear, is you're testing yourself too, not just your gear. You know what you can get away with and what you cannot get away with. So this is important to do. So inside your butt pack, this specific butt pack has an expandable collar on it, which I really like. Helps create a little bit of a weather seal to it, but you can pack it pretty heavily. And the lid has a Velcro pouch on it as well. For me, in that Velcro pouch, I keep a thing of wet wipes in there. There's nothing like, hygiene is a big deal out in the field. I don't care what kind of wet wipes you're using, but wet wipes can double as toilet paper. You can, it can really help with cleaning your feet, cleaning your crotch, your pits, your face. Not in that order though, face first, obviously. Believe it or not, you have to say that. But yeah, so having some sort of wet wipes there for hygiene is huge. And once again, I'm going to point it out again. Notice this is stuff in the back that you don't really need throughout the day. So on top of that, I keep a wind shirt. More coming on this as we get into some future videos here. That's the Helikon-Tex Wind Runner wind shirts. I also keep in here a dry bag with clean. I have socks. I have a stocking hat in here, or a watch cap. And these are important things. These are things that you might, you're going to want a spare pair of socks. You're going to want some sort of extra warmth from a watch cap, especially if you find yourself out overnight. Prevent that body heat from leaving your head. So that's a big deal right there. And prevent these things from getting wet, right? So dry bags are going to make a big difference there. I keep a minimum or a minimal shelter setup in here. I have my poncho for rain protection, but also for a makeshift shelter or observation post. And then I keep a couple of bungees in there as well for being able to rig that out. So that works out really well. Plus you can use that as a makeshift bivvy, just wrap yourself up in it, or just throw it on and hunker yourself down underneath a tree, and makes a big difference there. I keep a little general purpose pouch in here. General purpose stuff I keep. There's fire starters. There's a headlamp with a red lens to it. There is some spare zip ties. There's a ferro rod. There's a Sharpie. There's face camo. There's electrical tape. Just little odds and ends stuff that survival oriented, or what have you. All that's in there. So kind of gear repair, those kinds of things, all that makes a big difference. Food, I keep a 24-hour ration kit. If you guys haven't seen my video on that, on ration kits, this specific ration kit is a no cook kit, so no cooking is involved with any of this, so you can keep your signature at a lower level when you're out in the field with that. But high energy stuff, a little bit over 2,000 calories in that. And then I keep a foam sit pad in there. I literally took an old Thermarest Z-fold mat and cut it down to a to a sit pad or kneeling pad. So once again, if need be, you can pull this out, set up against a tree, put that poncho on you, and put your gloves on, put your stocking cap on, and just, you know, hunker down for a while. You can get away with all of that there. And you notice everything just lays out really nice within this setup. It doesn't take up a whole lot of space. I could actually put a little bit more in there if I wanted to. I could put like a Whoopee hoodie in there if I wanted. I could put you know, an extra layer in there if need be. You know, maybe a like a puff vest, or you know, spare pair of underwear, a combat shirt, whatever it may be, and put all of that right in there, cinch it up, and away you go. There's that. Something else that I keep on my kit, and I don't know how well you guys can see it, but I keep a thing of tubular webbing on my kit. It's about 20 feet of webbing with 2 carabiners. So the nice thing with this, you can use like a 6 or 7 millimeter rope if you want to. I have it all daisy chained there, but this is great for making a makeshift harness. You can do a makeshift litter, a drag setup. So if you're out with a buddy, you can you know, and if heaven forbid somebody gets hurt, you can do a makeshift sled or a litter with it, a drag system, whatever it may be. But it's nice to have that ability to be able to set that up. Maybe you need to lower gear down a steep embankment or whatnot. You can do that with that setup. And for me, it just tucks away real nice behind the butt pack, attaches to the sides via the carabiners, and you're good to go. And if you notice, I use black carabiners on mine. I'm not using silver ones, so that it doesn't stick out nearly as much, right? So we have that. Move our way to the front of this setup. Well, here you can see the padding set up to everything there. I keep my gloves on the front of it on just one of those little Gimlock carabiners. I keep, on the shoulder strap, a set of pace beads or ranger beads for use while out in the field, and then I have a field knife secured behind the 2 mag pouches there on the left-hand side. So something that's heavy duty. You never know if you need it for digging a hole, prying something open. Even these shorter style knives are great for like prying door hinges, whatnot on that. So you know, basic camp needs, bushcraft needs. But at the end of the day, also a makeshift fighting knife if you need to be able to utilize it as that. And then in the front here, I also keep a Swiss Army knife stowed away, dummy corded for use. I don't know, guys, there's a, you know, some guys like Swiss Army knives, some guys like multi-tools. I'm 6 to the 1, half dozen to the other. It really doesn't, I don't know if I have a preference either way. Swiss Army knife happens to fit real nice inside that specific pouch there, so I like that a lot. But that, gang, is the SMERSH loadout that I have set up for me and my needs, right? Now you'll notice, and I see a lot of guys making this mistake on these setups, this is worn just above my hips, right? So the bottom of the pouches kind of line up with my pant pockets, right? Right down, literally right there is where they line up to. But it's sitting, like the pad is literally probably right at about my hip bone, maybe a little above. It gives you a lot more freedom of movement. You guys can see the way this is all set up. Gives me a lot more freedom of movement. It also gives me a spot, because remember, we're conducting property patrols here. Literally, it's perfect for resting my forearms on and my elbows. So when you're, you know, carrying a rifle, and guys, if you haven't, I mean, those of you guys who have been there, done that, you know where I'm getting at here. Carrying a rifle for several hours on end is exhausting. It can be tiring on your body. So to be able to have that rested posture while doing it makes a huge difference. I've been finding out more and more just how much more comfortable that is when you're able to really conserve that energy while partaking in that. So it makes a big deal there. The other nice thing with this is, and I get this all the time, guys are having a hard time finding packs that work over top. All of your like British style Bergens work out really well over top of it. Your smaller assault packs, guys, when you your smaller assault style packs, guys, and especially with winter coming up, if you need to plus up your loadouts, you know, carry insulating layers inside of everything, you can do that with a small, like, you know, 18, 20, 25 liter day pack that works out really well. It doesn't interfere with anything. It lays over top of the harness really well for the SMERSH, and really, at the end of the day, makes a nice, simple system. So with that set up, that'll push me into the really cold weather months where I can carry a proper insulating layers, proper sleep system, extra rations, extra food, extra ammo maybe, and throw all of that in there. That works out really good. So that really, that's it. Now I know what you guys are gonna ask. Medical. You guys are gonna be like, Jay, where's your first aid stuff at? Well, this is one thing. You could do first aid in your pack, obviously. You could do it in the SMERSH, and I've tried it on the SMERSH. I've tried utilizing one of the magazine pouches for a first aid kit. I've tried doing the Russian setup that they make for it, where you carry a med kit up on the shoulder straps, but I found that really got in the way, so I didn't like that too much. So I do my med kit as a fanny pack of sorts. So literally, and some guys love it, some guys hate it, but I've been using it for several months now, and I like this setup a lot. Wear that as a fanny pack style setup. So when you do put your SMERSH on, or any LBE for that matter, literally flip it up, guys, buckle it underneath, adjust it properly, and let that work for you as kind of a pseudo fanny pack, right? It hangs right over the top. If you need to lift it up and scoot it out of the way, you can. There's no big deal to that, but that way you have that stuff readily available there, and you're good to go. You could let it hang down low if you wanted to. Completely up to you, but that way then I have shears, I have tourniquet, I have inside, you know, pressure bandages, boo-boo kits, small red pen light map, button compass, all that kind of stuff in there. Kind of like a last ditch pouch or a survival pouch in a way that's mixed in with a IFAC. So yeah, that I like that utilization of that space. And when you take the LBE off, at least you know at a minimum that you have that gear with you. So anyways, I'm a fan of that, and that's how I worked around having a full med kit on my person while wearing that set up there. So yeah, that's it. And then last thing, other guys are going to ask, well, where's all your navigation at, Jay? Your compass, all that good stuff. All of that, my nav kit, compass, maps, notebook, all that kind of stuff, this is all being carried in some sort of a cargo pocket on me, because this is stuff that I want access to throughout the day. I may be wearing the compass around my neck, tucked inside my field shirt. It's a good spot for it, actually. Or if you're wearing if you're set up like in a smock or BDU top setup where you have that gear in the pockets, you can access all of that as well. So anyways, that's enough talking. I'm getting hoarse. That's the longest I've done for a while. So anyways, that is the SMERSH loadout for me. That's how I've made it work for my needs. You can see it's kind of a combination of things. It's not quite a survival setup. It's not quite a fighting setup. It's really that in between. It's a healthy mix of everything. And after 2+ years of use now, I've really gotten it to the point where it's good to go as is. Like that, I'm good to go. If I need to bulk up on it or plus up on it, that's where day pack is coming into play, and or any kind of a pack for that matter. If you need to add an extra day, that's going there. If you need to go more, you're going to upsize your pack. So anyways, that is the Modern Minuteman's SMERSH loadout. I hope that answered a lot of your guys' questions. It's probably going to create a bunch of questions, so definitely put comments down down below, ask away. I'm pretty good about getting back to all of those. And if you have any comments, any experience with the setup, certainly have at it there. But this is my SMERSH loadout for me in my situation, in my area. So anyways, that's all I got, guys. Thanks for watching. Always appreciate you guys following along. And keep getting out there and keep doing you. Be good, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.